Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 trailer has dropped, and honestly, I am not okay. The glimpses we got of Sophie and Benedict, the drama, the heartbreak, the passion, everything we have been dying to see is right there in those 2 minutes. And if you thought Part 1 left us with questions, this trailer just multiplied them by 1,000. Sophie's fate hangs in the balance. Benedict is clearly spiraling. And the other Bridgertons? They are dealing with their own explosive revelations that will change everything. The stakes have never been higher, and I need to talk about every single frame of this trailer, because there is so much hidden in there that you might have missed. So let's break down this incredible trailer together and figure out exactly what is coming our way on February 26th. Let's start with the most important part, Sophie and Benedict. The trailer opens with a shot that immediately broke my heart. We see Benedict standing alone in what looks like his cottage, staring out the window with this devastated expression on his face. And you can just feel the weight of everything that happened between them in Part 1 crushing down on him. That proposal to become his mistress clearly did not go the way he hoped, and now he is dealing with the consequences of his actions. The voiceover during this moment is Benedict himself saying something along the lines of how he never meant to hurt her, and that he thought he was doing the right thing, which honestly makes it even more painful, because we know his intentions were not malicious, but the damage has already been done. Then we get our first glimpse of Sophie, and she is working somewhere new. From the looks of it, she is no longer at Bridgerton House, which means she actually left after what happened. Her face looks tired and sad, and you can see that she is trying to move on, but clearly struggling. There is this quick shot of her wiping away a tear while she is alone in a room, and it absolutely destroyed me. This woman has been through so much already, and just when she thought she found happiness, everything fell apart again. But then the trailer takes an interesting turn. We see Benedict searching through old records and documents. He is clearly investigating something, and from the intensity on his face, it seems like he is trying to find out more about Sophie's background. There is a scene where he is talking to Violet, and she asks him why this matters so much, and he says something about needing to prove that their love is possible, which confirms what we suspected, that Benedict is going to discover Sophie's noble heritage and use that to make their relationship acceptable in society's eyes. We also get a glimpse of the necklace, Sophie's mother's necklace, and Benedict is holding it up to the light, examining it closely. This has to be the moment where he starts piecing everything together. The music swells during this part, and you just know something major is about to be revealed. Then we see Sophie by the lake, and she is painting, just like we predicted. Benedict approaches her from behind, and there is this charged moment between them, where they just stare at each other. Neither of them speaks, but you can feel everything they want to say hanging in the air. Sophie looks conflicted, like part of her wants to run to him, and another part wants to protect herself from getting hurt again. And Benedict? He looks desperate and determined at the same time. The next part of the trailer shifts to the drama we have all been waiting for. Lady Aramenta and her daughters appear, and let me tell you, they look more sinister than ever. There is a scene where Aramenta is clearly scheming about something, and her daughters are listening with these cruel smiles on their faces. Then we get what might be the most intense moment in the entire trailer. Sophie is being accused of something in front of a crowd of people. We cannot hear exactly what is being said, but from the horrified expressions on everyone's faces, and the way Sophie looks absolutely terrified, it is clear that this is the theft accusation we have been expecting. Aramenta is standing there looking satisfied with herself, while Sophie is being led away by what appears to be constables or officers of some kind. The devastation on her face in this moment is heartbreaking. She has finally been caught in Aramenta's trap, and there seems to be no way out. Benedict sees this happening from across the street, and he starts running toward her, but he is held back by someone, probably Colin or Anthony. The anguish on his face as he watches the woman he loves being taken away is genuinely painful to watch. But the Bridgertons are not the type of family to give up without a fight. The next sequence shows Violet marching into what looks like a legal office or courthouse, with Benedict right behind her. She has this determined expression that tells you she is about to go to war for her son's happiness. There is a quick shot of her standing up in what might be a courtroom setting, and she is clearly making some kind of statement or declaration. Benedict is beside her, looking both hopeful and terrified at the same time. Then we see documents being presented, the same documents Benedict was researching earlier. Someone, probably a lawyer or official, is reading through them with a shocked expression. This has to be the moment where Sophie's true heritage is revealed to everyone. The truth about her father, her noble bloodline, her rightful inheritance, all of it is finally coming out into the open. We get a shot of Aramenta's face when this information is revealed, and she looks absolutely furious. Her entire scheme is falling apart right in front of her eyes, and there is nothing she can do about it. Her daughters look equally distressed, and you can see them starting to panic as they realize what this means for them. Then comes a moment that gave me chills. Sophie is released from wherever she was being held, and she walks out to find Benedict waiting for her. He does not say anything at first. He just opens his arms, and she collapses into them. They hold each other like they are afraid to let go, and you can see both of them crying. It is such a raw and emotional moment that perfectly captures everything they have been through to get to this point. Benedict pulls back just enough to look at her face, and he says something that we cannot quite hear in the trailer. But from the way Sophie's expression changes from despair to hope, you know it is something beautiful. Then we get the shot that everyone is going to be talking about. Benedict gets down on one knee. Not to ask her to be his mistress this time, but to properly propose marriage. Sophie's hand goes to her mouth in shock, and she is crying even harder now, but these are clearly happy tears. The music reaches its peak during this moment, and even though we do not get to hear her answer in the trailer, we all know what it is going to be. The trailer then shifts its focus to the wedding preparations, and let me tell you, it looks absolutely spectacular. We get quick flashes of what appears to be wedding planning happening at Bridgerton house. There are fabrics everywhere, flower arrangements being discussed, and the entire family seems to be involved in making this the perfect day. But what really caught my attention is that there seem to be preparations for not just one wedding, but possibly two. We see Violet looking at herself in a mirror wearing what could definitely be a wedding dress, and she has this soft smile on her face that we have not seen in so long. Lord Anderson appears briefly in the background of one shot, and the way he looks at her makes it clear that their relationship is moving forward in a serious way. The idea of Violet finding love again after all these years is something that makes this season even more special. She has spent so much time focusing on her children's happiness that seeing her finally choose her own happiness is incredibly touching. There is a scene where all the Bridgerton siblings are together, and they seem to be discussing something important. From their expressions, it looks like Violet has just told them about her decision to remarry, and while there is initial surprise on some of their faces, you can see the support and love they all have for their mother. Then we get back to Sophie and Benedict's story. There are these beautiful shots of them together during what looks like the final days before their wedding. They are walking through gardens, laughing together, stealing kisses when no one is looking, and just enjoying being able to be together openly without having to hide or pretend anymore. One particularly sweet moment shows Benedict teaching Sophie to dance properly, not the spontaneous dancing they did at the masked ball, but actual formal ballroom dancing. She keeps stepping on his feet, and they both start laughing, and it is such a pure and joyful moment that reminds us why we fell in love with this couple in the first place. We also see Sophie being fitted for her wedding dress, and the dress looks absolutely stunning. It has this ethereal quality to it that reminds you of the silver dress she wore to the masked ball, but even more beautiful and elaborate. Hyacinth and Eloise are with her during this fitting, and they are both clearly excited about welcoming Sophie into the family officially. There is genuine warmth and acceptance in these scenes that show Sophie is not just marrying Benedict, she is becoming part of the entire Bridgerton family. But of course, this is Bridgerton, and drama is never far away. The trailer gives us glimpses of Aramenta's final attempts to ruin everything. Even though her lies have been exposed, she is not going down without a fight. There is a tense scene where she confronts Sophie one last time. We cannot hear what she is saying, but from her angry gestures and the way Sophie stands her ground this time instead of cowering, you can tell that Sophie has finally found her strength and confidence. She is no longer the scared girl who can be pushed around and threatened. Benedict arrives during this confrontation, and he positions himself protectively in front of Sophie. He says something to Aramenta that makes her face go pale, and she storms off in fury. This is probably the moment where Benedict makes it clear that if Aramenta tries anything else, there will be serious consequences. We also get a quick shot of Aramenta and her daughters leaving London, presumably in disgrace after everything that has happened. They are loading their belongings onto a carriage, and the neighbors are watching with judgmental expressions. Aramenta tries to maintain her dignity, but you can see the humiliation on her face. This is the ending she deserves after everything she put Sophie through. Now let's talk about the other Bridgertons, because their storylines are also getting major development in Part 2. Francesca's story is taking a direction that has everyone talking. The trailer shows her struggling with something internally, and you can see the confusion and conflict on her face. There are scenes of her with John, and while they look happy on the surface, there is something missing in her expression. She seems distracted or distant, like her mind is somewhere else. Then we get the introduction of Michaela, and the chemistry is immediately noticeable. The first time Francesca and Michaela lock eyes, there is this spark that you can practically feel through the screen. Francesca looks shocked by her own reaction, and you can see her trying to process feelings she probably never expected to have. Michaela seems equally affected by their meeting, and there is this understanding that passes between them that goes beyond words. We also get what might be a devastating hint about John's fate. There is a scene where Francesca is crying and being comforted by Violet and Eloise, and from the black clothing everyone is wearing, it seems like something terrible has happened. The grief on Francesca's face is absolutely heartbreaking, and even though we knew this was coming from the books, seeing it play out is going to be incredibly emotional. Eloise's storyline is also getting set up in interesting ways. We see her receiving a letter, and from the surprised and intrigued expression on her face, this could be the beginning of her pen-pal relationship that will eventually lead to her own love story. She shows the letter to Penelope, and they seem to be discussing what it means and whether she should respond. There is also a funny moment where Eloise is once again surrounded by suitors at a ball, and she looks absolutely miserable about it. She tries to escape and ends up hiding behind a curtain, which is such a classic Eloise move. Benedict finds her there, and they have what looks like a heart-to-heart conversation about love and marriage and expectations. You can see the sibling bond between them in this scene, and it is clear that Benedict's journey toward finding real love has made Eloise think differently about her own possibilities. Colin and Penelope also make appearances throughout the trailer, looking happy and settled in their marriage. There is a sweet moment where Penelope is clearly pregnant, and Colin is being adorably protective and excited about becoming a father. They seem to be offering advice to Benedict about marriage, which is both funny and touching, considering where their own relationship started. The wedding day sequences in the trailer are absolutely breathtaking, and I genuinely cannot wait to see the full scenes. We get glimpses of the church decorated with thousands of flowers and candles, creating this magical atmosphere. The Bridgerton family is all there, dressed in their finest, and you can see the excitement and happiness on everyone's faces. Anthony is standing with Benedict, looking proud of his brother, and probably remembering his own wedding day. There is a moment where Anthony says something to Benedict that makes him smile, and you can see the brotherly love between them. Kate is there looking absolutely radiant, and she seems to be helping coordinate everything to make sure the day goes perfectly. Gregory and Hyacinth are running around excitedly, and Violet has to gently remind them to calm down. Then we see Sophie preparing to walk down the aisle, and she looks absolutely terrified and excited at the same time. Since her father is gone, and she has no one to give her away, we see Violet step forward to do the honors. This moment is so significant because it shows that Violet has truly accepted Sophie as her daughter, and is welcoming her into the family with open arms. Sophie looks at Violet with such gratitude and love, and Violet squeezes her hand reassuringly before they begin walking. The moment when Sophie appears at the entrance of the church is pure magic. Benedict turns around and sees her, and the expression on his face is everything. He looks like he cannot believe this is really happening, that this beautiful woman is actually about to become his wife. You can see tears forming in his eyes, and he is smiling so wide that it is impossible not to smile watching him. Sophie starts walking toward him, and with each step she takes, you can see her confidence growing. She is no longer the uncertain girl who did not believe she deserved happiness. She is walking toward her future with her head held high, knowing that she is exactly where she belongs. The other guests are all watching with smiles on their faces, and there is this collective sense of joy filling the entire church. When Sophie finally reaches Benedict, he takes her hand, and you can see him mouth something to her that makes her laugh through her tears. The priest begins the ceremony, and we get flashes of them exchanging vows and rings. The way they look at each other during these moments is so intense and full of love that it makes everything they went through to get here feel worth it. But then the trailer does something unexpected. Right in the middle of the wedding celebration, we cut to another ceremony. Violet and Lord Anderson are also getting married, and this wedding has a different but equally beautiful tone to it. It is more intimate, with just the Bridgerton children present as witnesses. Violet looks absolutely stunning and so happy, and Lord Anderson looks at her like she is the most precious thing in the world. The children are all clearly emotional about seeing their mother find love again. Even Anthony, who probably had the hardest time accepting this new relationship, looks genuinely happy for her. There is a touching moment where Violet places her hand on the spot where she used to wear Edmund's ring, and you can see that she is honoring his memory while also allowing herself to move forward. Lord Anderson seems to understand the significance of this gesture, and he covers her hand with his own in a show of support and understanding. When they kiss after exchanging vows, all the Bridgerton siblings applaud and cheer for their mother. It is such a joyful moment that celebrates both honoring the past and embracing the future. The reception scenes look absolutely incredible. Both couples are celebrating together, and the joy in every frame is contagious. There is dancing and laughing and toasting and everything you would want from a Bridgerton wedding celebration. Benedict and Sophie share their first dance as a married couple, and it is so much more confident and beautiful than their dance at the masked ball. Sophie is no longer nervous or unsure. She is dancing with her husband, surrounded by people who love and accept her. There is a particularly sweet moment where all the married Bridgerton siblings are dancing with their spouses, and you can see the legacy of love that Violet and Edmund created continuing through their children. Violet watches this scene with Lord Anderson by her side, and she looks so proud and content. Her children have all found or are finding their own happiness, and she has allowed herself to find happiness again too. Benedict and Sophie steal away for a private moment during the reception, and they just hold each other, both of them still seeming amazed that this is real and that they actually get to be together. The trailer also shows us glimpses of what comes after the wedding. Benedict and Sophie are shown at the cottage, the same cottage where they spent those fairy tale days together in part 1. But this time, everything is different, because they are married and do not have to hide or feel guilty about being together. They are lying in the grass, looking up at the sky, and talking about their future. Sophie mentions something about her inheritance and what they could do with it, and Benedict makes it clear that he does not care about the money, he just cares about her. There are scenes of them starting their life together, making the cottage into their home, and just enjoying being married. One particularly touching moment shows Sophie painting while Benedict watches her with this soft expression on his face. She notices him staring and asks what he is looking at, and he says something that makes her blush and smile. These quiet domestic moments are just as important as all the drama and passion, because they show that Sophie and Benedict have found the peaceful happiness they both deserve. We also see them visiting Bridgerton House together, and being welcomed warmly by the family. Sophie is laughing with Eloise and Hyacinth about something, and Benedict is watching from across the room, looking completely content with his life. Then the trailer takes another turn, and gives us hints about what is coming in future seasons. The Francesca and Michaela storyline is clearly being set up as something major. After the funeral scene that was hinted at earlier, we see Francesca in Scotland at what must be John's estate. She is alone and grieving, and trying to figure out how to move forward with her life. Then Michaela arrives, presumably to help settle John's affairs or to support her late sibling's widow. The scenes between them are charged with an energy that is both sad because of the circumstances and hopeful because of the connection forming between them. There is a moment where they are walking through the Scottish Highlands together, and they stop to look at the view. They are standing close to each other, and there is this tension building between them that neither of them seems to know how to address yet. Michaela says something, and Francesca turns to look at her, and the way they stare at each other in that moment tells you everything about where this relationship is headed. Francesca looks confused by her own feelings, but also like something finally makes sense to her in a way it never did before. We also get more setup for Eloise's story. She is shown writing letters late at night, and she looks completely absorbed in whatever she is writing. There is a smile on her face that we do not see very often from Eloise, like she has found something, or someone, who truly understands her. Benedict notices her writing and makes a comment about it, and Eloise quickly hides the letter looking embarrassed. He teases her about having a secret admirer, and she insists it is nothing, but you can tell there is definitely something developing. In another scene, Eloise is at a bookshop, and she looks excited about something. She picks up a particular book and holds it close to her chest like it means something special. This could be related to her pen pal situation. Maybe they discussed this book, or it was recommended by this mysterious person she is corresponding with. Penelope is with her during this bookshop visit, and she has this knowing smile on her face, like she suspects exactly what is happening with Eloise, even if Eloise is not ready to admit it yet. The trailer also gives us glimpses of the other siblings and their continued stories.